Hi guys, welcome to Olive's Tree. I'm Mandy and I'm one of the 12 branches on my mum Olive's Tree. And I'm just about to whip up an apple, date and walnut cake for very dear person to us. And we're going to give half to uncle and auntie and half to our elderly neighbours. And yes, I thought I'd just bring you along because it's a really good recipe and it's absolutely delicious. So let's have a look. So I've got 2/3 of a cup of walnuts here that I'm going to chop and just sit aside. And I keep those nuts in the freezer so that the oils don't oxidize and send the nuts rancid because, you know, that's absolutely horrible flavor in anything. And I don't want them, you know, overly fine. That's pretty good. Happy with that. And I have one large apple. I've washed it. I've left the peel on. You use any apple you like. If I had a Granny Smith, I probably would have used that instead, but this is what I have that needs to be used. So that's what we're going to go with. And I just want to chop that. We are going to boil the dates and the apple for a few minutes with some butter, brown sugar, and what else are we putting in there? Butter, brown sugar, some water, and we'll just, you know, give that boil that just for a couple of minutes. And then we're just going to let that cool a little bit before we add in our vanilla, our spices, eggs, and flour, and our nuts. We don't need to boil the nuts. So I'm just not too fussy about this. Don't mind having some pieces of, you know, apple in the cake. That's fine. It's not going to be a problem. And in the saucepan that I'm putting the apple into, I actually have 4 ounces of butter. Now, if you only use margarine, go right ahead, that's fine. I'm a bit of a butter girl, but you know, you make this yours and you use what suits you and what suits your family, your budget, your needs. You do it however you like, okay? And I'm not being too, you know, fussy about the size of the apple chunks either. I just want them cut up, you know, good enough. Okay, so just get that into there like so. Okay, so, oops. Yep. Okay, so you can see I've got butter and apple are the only thing I have in there at the moment. I'm also going to chop some dates. And I want about 3/4 of a cup of dates. Doesn't matter if it's a couple over or a couple under, you know, this is a very forgiving recipe. These are pitted. I'm going to run my knife through them anyway, even though we are going to boil them for a couple of minutes. For 2 things, they'll break down a bit faster, and it's also a good way of checking if, you know, the processing part of the date, you know, getting the dates ready to sell, that they haven't missed a pip. I don't want anyone to break a tooth. Okay, so in goes 3/4 of a cup of dates. On top of that, I'm going to add in some of my homemade brown sugar, and I'll leave an end card for this brown sugar at the end. So I've got, that's 1/3 of a cup tightly packed, 2/3. I actually want, I might go 2/3 of brown sugar, and I might go just a scant 1/4 of a cup of white sugar, okay? And then I just want a cup of water. So I'll just grab some water. Alrighty, pop that over the top like so. And I'm going to take this over to the kettle now. I'm going to take this over to the kettle. I'm going to take this over to the stove, and I'm just going to bring this up to a gentle simmer, and I'm going to simmer it for 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm just going to turn it off and let it cool down to room temperature. So I'm just going to go over and get that started, and I'll bring you back when it's almost ready to turn off, so you can get a bit of an idea of what it should look like. Okay, so that 4 minutes has passed. I'm just going to add a teaspoon of high carb soda, and that'll froth up, as you can see. I'm just move that off the heat, like so. Make sure it's all stirred through. And I would normally wait a little bit later to put the vanilla in, but I'm a bit worried that I'll forget today. So I'm just going to pop it in now that it's off the heat, and we're just going to let that sit there and cool down for about half an hour. And we'll come back and we'll add our eggs and our flour and our cinnamon, and we'll get it in the Castore air fryer to bake. So see you back in about 30 minutes. Alrighty. So here's our cool fruit mix. And I'm just going to pop our walnuts into there. I have the Castore preheating. And I have 2 cups of self-raising flour and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And 2 eggs. I'm just going to give a little beat. There you go. Fold it all together. Smells beautiful. I love apple and cinnamon. So I'm going to cook this in the Castore, and I'm going to cook it on about 165, 170, 165, I think, and keep an eye on it. My favorite trusty pan. It fits in the Castore, so it's another reason to love it. Oh, that mix out. Okay. And okay, so time has gone off, and I'm just going to take the temperature of this and see whether we need to add a piece of foil. So you can see the cake. It's not going to be cooked. Okay, so I'm going to just grab a piece of foil. Another 10. And we'll do it 160. For 10. Oh, turned it off. Oh. Okay, so our cake has now cooked, and I'm just going to leave it in this tin for about 10 or 15 minutes before I turn it out to cool. And yeah, so we'll have a little look at it a bit later when it's a bit cooler, and I'll cut it in half. And I'll just have a look at the texture inside, but it smells absolutely beautiful. So yeah, okay, we'll see you back soon.